Have you ever had an earworm, one of those songs that gets in your head and it just plays over and over and over? Well, I've had an earworm recently. It's a song from the mid '60s. May know the band The Who, and the song is "The Kids Are All Right." So I've been thinking about that line, "The kids are all right," and these days you may not feel all right. A lot of us feel that things aren't just quite right with all the uncertainty that we're facing with the pandemic and how things are just not normal. But the point that I want to make today is that it's all right not to be all right, that it's fine, and that if you're not feeling that things are just the way they should be, you're not alone. A lot of us are feeling that way these days. So it's all right not to feel all right. And I want to talk today a little bit with one of my students, Ryan Smith. I call him a student, but he sometimes teaches me as much as I teach him. So we're just going to have a little conversation about what we can do to just increase our mental health. And I would say that the first and foremost thing is to acknowledge sometimes that we're not feeling kind of on top of the world. And these days, a lot of us are experiencing that. So Ryan, first of all, what do you think? Do you kind of agree with me that these days things sometimes feel a little bit off, given all the circumstances with COVID and the restrictions and different kinds of schedules? Is that reasonable for me to kind of suggest that people sometimes are feeling a bit not all right these days?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think you can feel the kind of just vibe of the campus often. And it's hard not to kind of be empathic living so close to so many people. And I agree with you. Definitely people kind of feel stressed, no spring break. I know the grade 12s feel stressed out about the whole university situation. Are we going to go? Are we going to get accepted? And I think it's really important to, like you said, acknowledge if you're not feeling all right. Because for a long time, if you felt a bit stressed or anything having to do with mental health, it was seen as a weakness. And now we know that's just very far from the truth, the furthest it could be from the truth, and that we all feel that way sometimes. We all get overwhelmed, we all just get a bit burnt out. I know I do. Lots of homework, having to write letters, it can be a lot. And I think just talking about it, like you said, with friends or teachers if you need to, and just finding something that works for you to alleviate that stress, because you hear a lot about meditating, and there's been a spike in recommendations for meditating. You see it on Netflix, a little like How to Meditate series. It's become very popular. And, it's a very great tool to use, but I know myself, I came here in grade 8. Up until last year, I never would have tried it. Jumpy grade 9, I never would have been able to sit still. So I think finding something that really works for you to help alleviate that stress, whether it's just coming into the library here and reading a book, or journaling, writing down your thoughts, putting them on paper and out of your head, talking to friends, going for a run. There's tons of different options. Even just, cooking a meal, it can alleviate a lot of stress.
Yeah. Great. So you're kind of an extroverted guy. You are super kind of engaged in lots of different things. So do you think there's a difference? Do you think there are things that might work for people who are more extroverted and maybe not so much for people that are more introverted and need more kind of quiet space? Are there different techniques and strategies that can be used by different kinds of people?
I think for sure. There's definitely a difference between, someone like me who's very extroverted, because just by walking through the Ritz during break and talking to people, I leave the Ritz feeling more energetic and happier. But that's not the case for a lot of people. And that's when, doing things like going for a run, because while you're running, there's no one's going to be trying to talk to you. You're going to be able to be in your thoughts and be calm, or, like coming to the library and getting a booth and grabbing some books. People aren't going to really come bother you, because it is hard to find alone time here. You live with a roommate, you eat with people, you live with people pretty much 24/7. So I think if you are more introverted, then it's important to give yourself that time to really just recharge yourself. And I think getting out for things like walks, runs, reading a book, even just finding a quiet place around campus to listen to music, then I think it can go a long way.
I remember when I was in high school, there was a little room up in the library, and I used to go in there all the time and just put on a record album, sometimes The Who, and I remember those were the times I just kind of let go and really kind of allowed myself some time just to be with myself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I heard an expression, I heard someone talking, even just this morning on the radio, saying that self-care is really a skill that we learn. Do you think that's true?
I think you can practice it for sure, and like all skills, you get better at it. It's hard to switch your habits. We all know that. It's hard to quit habits you don't think are good for you and make new ones that you think are better for you. And same thing as self-care. You might know that putting down your phone for that hour you have free and just sitting there and just breathing or picking up a book, that might be better for you, but it's hard to do that. So I think just being realistic and not being so hard on yourself, thinking I'm going to start doing these 5 habits all at once for self-care, and just develop them slowly. And it's okay if you forget to do it that day, or it's just too much. Just taking a step back and saying, for 10 minutes I'll put the phone away and I'll pick up a book. Starting small, and like all skills, you'll get better at it over time.
Yeah. Well, as I say, Ryan, I learned as much from you as I try to teach you, I think, and I really appreciate your doing this today, and your suggestions are so right on, and I think coming from you, maybe people can really hear them in a different way. So thank you so much. And we just want to, encourage people to continue to reach out and have this conversation, I mean, just literally the conversation we're having. Self-care isn't always easy. It does take a little bit of discipline. So we need to, I think, support and encourage each other, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. No problem. We'll see you soon. Okay.
It was fun.
Thank you all. Behind with the kids are alright. The kids are alright. The kids are alright. The kids are alright.